going, guys? It's Naazir. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Uniqlo collaborations. Now, this is the second worth it video of the series. I'm hoping to make this just a series on its own, where I'll be talking about multiple brands that we all know and cop from a lot, and breaking them down to if they are really worth it. So without further ado, let's get to a little bit of the backstory of Uniqlo. Uniqlo is a Japanese clothing company that originally started in Yamaguchi, Japan. It's founded by Tadashi Inai, who is also the president of Fast Retailing, which owns multiple different brands like GU, J-Brand, Helmut Lang, and a few others. I also wanted to include that he is the richest person in Japan, and as of right now in 2020, he is actually worth $29.8 billion. Now, not only that, but they originally started as a textile company in 1949, and they did not open their first clothing storefront until June of 1984. Since opening the storefront in the 80s, it has become a staple brand for providing high quality items at a very good, competitive, and cheap price. I also wanted to know that they are also well known for their high quality collaborations, as the one I have on right now, and they have a very extensive resume of high-end collaborators to add to that little thing of their high quality collaborations, while also keeping it at a fair and true price as well. I did want to also note that a few of their known ambassadors are Roger Federer, Ayumi Hirano, and Adam Scott. Now, they all do play tennis -1. He is a professional snowboarder, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they don't really have any like sponsored people. It's mostly, since it's a high-end brand, it's more of just mostly ambassadors versus having people sponsored like Nike or something like that. So that's just a few people. They don't really have like a long list of ambassadors either. But I just wanted to list a few of them because these are the only ones I could really find that everyone would mainly know. Now, I also did want to add a few of their seen or very well known collaborators. And the first one I'm going to start off with is KAWS. Now, they did not really start collaborating with Uniqlo, KAWS and Uniqlo, until around 2016. And they collaborated every year for 3 years, with last year being the last year that we'll actually ever see a collaboration between KAWS and Uniqlo. Within that time, that's where you'll usually see a lot of your KAWS and Uniqlo stuff, like the Elmo or the Snoopy or like the Dior one. That's mostly where you'll see most of those collaborations, because within that time frame, that's when they were usually collaborating, and those are the ones that were really like the big ones. Like, everyone knows the Snoopy and the Elmo and then the regular KAWS gear and stuff like that. But it was usually within that 3-year time span that they dropped a lot of merchandise. Another one I also wanted to include are Ambush, Takashi Murakami, Billie Eilish, Disney, and Crossing Lines/Spirits NY, which features a few artists like Keith Haring, Andy Warhol, Basquiat, and people of those names as far as art goes. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is production. And for this part, I'm going to be looking at my phone a bit more than usual, just because this is where I have all my notes. So that's why I'm looking at this little object right here, because this is where all my notes are, because I did my research and stuff like that, and it was really hard to find some of this, so I don't want to mess it up. So for production, all the materials are specifically sourced for the highest quality. Now, when I say specifically sourced, it's not like Uniqlo is using just any random source for everything, and it's not usually like the same consistent source. What Uniqlo means by that is that they use the same specific source for all of their items continuously, instead of using it just one time and then changing to something else. That's why a lot of these Uniqlo collaborations, especially the KAWS ones for example, you can see the same quality with every single item that was used, because they stay consistent with their, sources. So that way you get the same quality every single time that you pick up one of these pieces. Now, I also wanted to include that all sewing, dyeing, weaving, sewing, and spinning is all done in their factories. Now, Uniqlo does not do like a lot of other companies and actually send their items out to actually do these things for them. Uniqlo actually has people, even engineers, that actually do this stuff in-house, that are actually taught, and they're mostly done by hand. Some by robots, but you know, like, that's really how it be sometimes. But all that stuff is done in-house, which is also another huge plus, because it means that you are also still getting that same consistent quality, especially with embroidery and stuff like that, every time you buy one of their pieces. And I also did want to include, even though this is not about pants, all their denim materials are made by Kaihara, I believe, denim, and they have been sourced from that specific company since 1988. So since 1988, Uniqlo has been producing the same denim that we buy to this day from the same company, and it's consistent since the 88, and the quality has not changed. So it's always been high quality since the late 80s, which is another huge plus. So now that we have most of the informal part out of the way, now we can start breaking down some of the examples of Uniqlo collaborations. For the first one, we're going to start with this Billie Eilish by Takashi Murakami collaboration. This one actually released towards the end of May, so it's a fairly new one, but this one basically sold out immediately. For anyone, like, for reference, Takashi Murakami or KAWS or anyone of that caliber as far as Uniqlo collaborations is gonna sell out immediately. Now, a lot of this stuff did sell out, and it's kind of restocking here and there, not really like restocking consistently. But I picked this one up on the initial release, and this shirt was actually $15. Now, as far as quality goes, these tend to be very, very high quality shirts. It's not like they're giving you anything flimsy, and it's definitely not like a Gildan tee or something like that, and you know that for a fact. So on the front, we have the front graphic, which is Billie Eilish, which is one of her signature fonts. And then we also have Takashi Murakami characters all spread out throughout the shirt. And then at the bottom, it does say Billie Eilish by Takashi Murakami. And then you also have Billie Eilish's logo. And then you have Takashi Murakami's signature logo. Now this one is a XL. I don't know if you'll really be able to see a tag like that. So this one does fit me like a bit oversized, just because that's how this collection ran. And that will really be it for this one. I mean, they are reselling right now for around $30 to almost $40. So they definitely do hold their value in a way. And the next example that I actually do have, actually, let me put this shirt down really quick. Alright, now that that's out of the way, the second one that we're going to be talking about is actually the one that I've been wearing this entire video. Now this is the Uniqlo and KAWS collaboration from last year. This is the final year that they were actually collaborating. And as you can see, it does have the signature KAWS companion in the dye section. So you can see the inside of the KAWS companion. Then you can see the outside on the other side. I would say that this shirt obviously is clearly extremely comfortable. This one is a large compared to the XL. And even though it seems like it fits like really big, they actually kind of do. So for a large, it actually fits me extremely comfortable. So I would take that into consideration when you are buying Uniqlo collaborations, because not everything fits the same. So you do also want to check the measurements as well. But this one is extremely comfortable. It also has the signature KAWS XIs on the sleeve, which are embroidered. And overall, it's a really comfortable shirt. If I was actually to like take this off, wash it, and then go throw it up on like GRAILED or something like that, I could easily get my money back, which is also a big plus. So now let's get to the final part, which is Uniqlo collaborations, or are Uniqlo collaborations really worth investing or buying or just getting in general? Now, the next thing that we are going to be talking about is quantity. And for quantity, I give it a harsh 7 out of 10. Now, my reason for that is because there's always quantity in the stores as well as online. But unlike a bunch of other brands, Uniqlo doesn't really have stores all over like the world, or mostly America, you know, because that's where we live, most of us. It's not really like abundant. It's not like an H&M or like a PacSun or something like that. So Uniqlo's do tend to be a little bit more, you know, spread out. and the quantity does get a little bit more scarce, especially when a lot of us have to aim for getting a lot of these items online. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is exclusivity. And for the same reason that I was talking about with quantity, I'm going to be giving this a 6.5 out of 10. Now, Uniqlo does not have stores all over America, like I said before. So a lot of us are trying to buy this item online. Now, that does help with the exclusivity of the items, just because it's not like you can walk or, go to your local mall and pick up the Uniqlo collab that just dropped like that same day. Like, a lot of us are trying to get it online, and then if you're lucky and you live in one of the major cities like New York or LA or somewhere like that, you might be able to actually go into a store and actually pick up this collaboration. Now, even with that, not all Uniqlo locations will get the collaboration, which I know it might seem kind of weird, but it's actually true, and I did learn this when I actually picked up the Takashi Murakami and Doraemon collaboration a few years ago, that not every location does get the collaborations. So that does also help with its exclusivity as far as in America and around the world. Now, the next thing we are going to be talking about is value. And for value, I gave it a 7 out of 10. And the reason for that is because most, but not all, of the Uniqlo collaborations will resell for that top dollar. And the reason that I say that is because Uniqlo does so many collaborations throughout the year that some people might just miss them. Like, just like aerodynamics, like that's literally some of the Uniqlo collaborations. So even if you miss some, it's not really that big of a deal. But as far as holding value, not all of them are going to resell as good as like a COS or Uniqlo like Billie Eilish or Murakami, like I was talking about before, and things of that nature. It usually depends on how much hype or how much influence the person that they're collaborating with actually has. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is the hype tax. Now, I know a lot of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about here, because the hype tax, it really be hitting depending on what the item is. And for that reason, I gave it a 7 out of 10. With Uniqlo collaborations, it usually depends, because some do go under the radar, but it honestly depends on the collaborator. Like, one of my favorite recent collaborations that is super slept on at the moment is the Uniqlo and Ambush and Disney collab. Now, this collab came out around February, around the time that everything really started going into lockdown mode, things like that. So a lot of people didn't really pay attention to it. But I'm hopefully going to be scooping up some of those items for myself, because I was looking at GRAILED at the backpack the other day, and even though it's on Uniqlo for $60, I saw one on GRAILED sell for $100. I saw one on StockX sell for $140. So it usually depends on the collaborator, and even some of the ones that are more slept on, once you see like a celebrity or something with it on, or someone sees it in streetwear and something like that, or whatever fashion, realm that you're in, sees it and they're like, oh, that's kind of dope, suddenly it'll start to go up, and that's usually where that part usually plays in, really. So for the hype tax, it usually depends on the collaborator. I say just keep an eye out for them, especially on Uniqlo, because they do also announce them ahead of time. So if you're looking to sell or you're looking to beat the hype tax, pay attention to Uniqlo. Like the website, the t-shirt section, the Instagrams, all of that, because you don't want to get hit with that hype tax on these. Now, the next thing we are going to be talking about is versatility. And this is where I gave Uniqlo a 10 out of 10. They do so many collaborations, and they have so many different collaborators throughout the year, that they literally have something for everybody. Even the kids, which sometimes we get in the most fire collaborations of them all. Like, did you know that they did a Uniqlo Peppa Pig collab and it only came out for kids and babies? Like, how fire would that have been for the adults and things like that? So I had to give them a 10 in this section, because they're literally like for everybody. It's like rated E as far as collaborations go. So for that part, it's a 10, and you can't really be mad at it. Now, the next thing we are going to be talking about is product execution. Now, this can make or break a collaboration, because when it comes to that execution, If it's not up to Uniqlo standards or it's not up to the collaborator standards, it's usually just, like a whole L. Like, you just gotta take that L and run with it, and then you get people returning it, and then it goes on sale, yada yada yada. But as far as product execution goes, as far as collaborations, I give them a solid 8 out of 10, because a lot of the collaborations are usually well executed, and there's a lot of attention to detail that they allow the collaborators to use. For example, the cause shirt that I'm wearing right now. Like, just the little small details like the cause X on the side of the shirt can really just add that extra oomph to a collaboration. Like, those can make or break collabs in my eyes, really. So this is why I give them an 8 out of 10, because they usually execute their products extremely well. Now, the final score after all of our categories will be a whopping 53 out of 10. Not 10, but 70. You know what I really meant. So that's actually a really, really high score. But now we get into the final question of, is Uniqlo collaborations really, really, really worth it?
No question!
So yeah, they are extremely worth it in the end. Just because they always have so much for everybody, and they have such a strong resume of collaborations and things like that, I will always say that Uniqlo collaborations are worth it. Even if it's not the most hype collaboration, you can go on the Uniqlo website or even in the store and still find a collaboration from recently that you really like. I picked up so many collaborations that weren't really hyped, such as Despairs NY. A few years ago they did a Street Fighter one, and they're usually really, really dope collabs. So don't sleep on Uniqlo when it comes to their collaborations. They might not be like the Supreme or the Palace or the Bape of the, fashion room, but when it comes to things that are kind of for everybody and the chance of you finding something you might like, Uniqlo is usually the way to go. And it usually doesn't stop at the t-shirts either. From time to time, they'll do a plethora of different accessories, bags, hats, pants, and things like that. So the possibilities are just endless when it comes to these collaborations. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Is It Worth It? Be on the lookout for more episodes soon. If there is a brand that you want me to do, leave it in the comments down below, and I will hopefully be able to get to it. Without further ado, I will catch you guys in the next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what your favorite part of the video was, or if you just learned something new, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.